Ethan Cross heard the crash at 2 in the morning and knew immediately it was not an animal. Too loud. Too deliberate. Metal scraping against brick. The distinct sound of someone trying very hard to be quiet and failing completely. He was out of bed in seconds. Old instincts. Army training that never really left even 4 years after hanging up the uniform. He grabbed the torch from his bedside table and the wrench he kept under his pillow. Yorkshire was safe, but old habits died hard, and headed downstairs to the garage. The side window was open, the one with the broken latch he kept meaning to fix. Someone had climbed through and knocked over his parts shelf in the process. Bolts and washers scattered across the concrete floor like metal rain. Ethan flipped on the lights. A girl stood frozen by his workbench. Young, maybe 11, soaking wet from the rain outside, and the most striking thing he had ever seen. Her skin had this shimmer to it, like someone had mixed crushed pearls into porcelain. Her ears came to delicate points, and her eyes were gold, not brown or hazel, actual metallic gold that reflected the fluorescent lights like mirrors. Around her thin neck sat a metal collar with a small blinking red light. They stared at each other. Her hand was on his angle grinder. She had been reaching for it when the lights came on. "I am sorry," she said. Her voice was hoarse, broken. "I know I should not be here. I will leave. I just needed." She swayed. Ethan saw it happen in slow motion. Her eyes rolled back. Her legs gave out. He caught her before she hit the concrete. She weighed nothing. Absolutely nothing. When was the last time this kid had eaten? Up close he could see more. The bruises on her arms. The bloody cloth wrapped around her feet. The way her clothes hung off her frame like she had shrunk inside them. And that collar. That damned collar with its blinking red light. What the hell? Her eyes fluttered open. Gold eyes full of terror. "Please do not call the police. Please. They will send me back. I cannot go back. I would rather die than go back. Easy. I am not calling anyone. You broke into my garage and immediately passed out. I am more concerned about you dying right now than anything else." Ethan carried her to his work stool. Set her down carefully. "When did you last eat?" "I do not know. Days maybe. I lost track." "Christ. Wait here." He went upstairs, grabbed bread, peanut butter, a banana, filled a glass with water. When he came back down, she was exactly where he had left her, sitting perfectly still, hands folded in her lap. Like she was afraid moving would make her invisible kindness vanish. "Eat," Ethan said. "Slowly. If you have not eaten in days, you need to go easy, or you will be sick." She took the food with shaking hands. Ate like someone who had forgotten what food tasted like. Ethan watched her and felt anger start to build in his chest. Someone had done this to her. Someone had starved this child and put a shock collar on her and hurt her badly enough that she would rather break into a stranger's garage than ask for help. "What is your name?" he asked when she had finished eating. "Aria. I am Ethan, and I need you to tell me what that is around your neck." Her hand flew to the collar. "You can see it. Hard to miss." "I kept my coat collar up. I thought if I hit it." She stopped, took a shaking breath. "It is a tracker, a shock collar. The corporation that owns me uses it to keep me from running. But I ran anyway, 3 weeks ago, and they are getting closer. The shocks are coming more often. They are tightening the search radius." "The corporation that owns you?" Ethan kept his voice level, calm, even though he wanted to put his fist through a wall. "Aria, you are a person. Nobody owns you. TechCore Industries disagrees. They bought me when I was 8, used me for 3 years. And if they find me, they will kill me, because I know too much and broken tools get discarded." She met his eyes. "I can fix machines. Any machine. I just touch it and I know what is wrong. Every mechanical flaw. Every failing part. I have always been able to do it. And they use me for it. Quality control on weapons. On military equipment. For 3 years I touched guns and bombs and things designed to kill. And every broken thing I touched felt like dying." Ethan felt something cold settle in his stomach. They used a child to test weapons. They used 23 children. Different species. Different abilities. All of us bought or stolen young. All of us collared. Her voice went flat. "I escaped during a facility transfer. The van crashed. I ran. But I cannot get this collar off. The lock is encrypted. The metal is too strong. I have tried everything." She looked at his angle grinder on the workbench. "I have been watching your garage for 7 nights, trying to decide if you were safe. If you were kind. I saw you use that grinder. Saw you cut through steel exhaust pipes like they were nothing. I thought maybe you could cut through this collar. So I waited and watched. And tonight I finally got desperate enough to break in and try to take it. To find someone who would help me use it. Tears ran down her face. I know that was wrong. I know I should not have broken in. But I am out of time and out of options, and I am so tired of being afraid. Please. I will do anything. Fix all your bikes. Work for free. Just please help me get this off before they find me. Ethan looked at this 11-year-old child with a shock collar around her neck. This kid who had watched his garage for a week working up the courage to ask for help. This impossible girl offering miracles in exchange for basic human decency. He made a decision. I am going to get that collar off you, he said quietly. Not because you will fix my bikes. Not because I want anything from you. Because nobody should wear a collar. Understood? She nodded. Did not trust herself to speak. But I need you to trust me. That grinder is dangerous. I'm going to have to put spinning metal very close to your throat. One wrong move and I could really hurt you. Can you stay perfectly still? Yes. Then let us get you free. He picked up the angle grinder. Fired it up. The motor screamed to life. Aria sat frozen while he worked. He could see her shaking. Could see the way her hands clenched into fists. But she did not move. Did not flinch. Just trusted him completely, even though she had known him for all of 10 minutes. The grinder bit through the collar. Sparks flew. The red light flickered. Died. The metal fell away in 2 pieces and hit the floor with a sound like chains breaking. Aria touched her bare neck. Her hands shook so badly, she could barely make contact with her own skin. It is off, she whispered. It is really off. Then she started crying. Deep wrenching sobs that sounded like they had been trapped inside her for years. Ethan did not know what to do. Did not know how to comfort a crying child. Lucy would have known. Lucy had been good at this sort of thing. But Lucy was gone. So Ethan did the only thing he could think of. He pulled up another stool and sat next to Aria and waited while she cried herself empty. When she finally stopped, she looked at him with those gold eyes red-rimmed and exhausted. Thank you. You are welcome. Ethan paused. Now we need to talk about what happens next. You said they are tracking you. Looking for you. That collar had a tracker. How long before they realize it is gone? Hours maybe. The signal will go dead. They will know I cut it off. They will send people. Then we do not have much time. Ethan stood. First things first. You need proper food. Sleep. Medical attention for those feet. Then we figure out how to keep you safe. Sound good? Why are you helping me? Ethan thought about the answer. About the real answer. Because 4 years ago my wife died, and I have spent every day since asking myself what the point is. What the point of getting up and going through the motions and pretending any of it matters. He looked at her. You walked into my garage asking for help, and for the first time in 4 years I have an answer. The point is this. Helping people who need it. Being the person who does not walk away. Aria smiled. Small and fragile but real. I am glad I picked your garage. So am I. Now come on. Let us get you upstairs and fed properly. Tomorrow we figure out the rest. Outside Yorkshire slept. Inside a garage that smelled of oil and metal, an ex-soldier and a runaway made an unspoken promise. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The spare bedroom smelled of dust and regret. Ethan hadn't opened this door in 3 years. Lucy's sewing machine still sat in the corner, covered with a sheet that had gone gray with time. He flipped on the light. Aria stood in the doorway behind him, small and uncertain, still dripping rainwater onto the carpet. It's not much, Ethan said. But the bed's clean. I'll get you some dry clothes. He dug through his drawers. Everything he owned would swallow her whole. He settled on an old PT shirt from his army days and a pair of shorts with a drawstring. When he turned back, Aria was staring at the photograph on the dresser. Lucy. Laughing. Hair caught in the wind at Whitby Beach. Your wife, Aria said quietly. Yeah. She was beautiful. She was. Ethan set the clothes on the bed. Bathrooms across the hall. Get cleaned up. Those feet need bandaging. Aria didn't move. Her gold eyes fixed on him with unnerving intensity. What? Ethan asked. You loved her very much. It wasn't a question. Ethan felt something crack open in his chest. The way this kid looked at him, like she could see straight through skin and bone to the bleeding wound underneath. I did, he said. Still do, I suppose. Love doesn't just stop because someone's gone. No, Aria agreed. It doesn't. She said it like someone who knew. Like someone who had loved and lost and understood that particular species of pain. Then she picked up the clothes and disappeared into the bathroom. Ethan sat at the kitchen table with his laptop and a mug of tea going cold between his hands. The internet was both too much and not enough. TechCore Industries. The search results made his blood run cold. Defense contractor. Multi-billion-pound valuation. Government contracts for weapons systems, surveillance technology, autonomous drones. Headquartered in London with facilities scattered across the UK and Europe. On the surface, legitimate, successful, untouchable. But Aria had said they bought children, used them, killed them when they broke. Ethan scrolled deeper. Past the corporate PR and the glowing financial reports. Into the conspiracy forums and the Reddit threads and the dark corners where people whispered about things they couldn't prove. There, a deleted blog post preserved in an archive. An anonymous whistleblower claiming TechCore ran black sites. Illegal testing programs. Disappeared people who asked too many questions. Nothing concrete. Nothing that would hold up in court. But enough to make Ethan believe Aria. He heard the bathroom door open. Looked up to find her padding into the kitchen on bandaged feet, drowning in his old shirt. She'd washed her face. Without the grime and fear, she looked even younger. A child who should be worrying about homework and friendships, not corporations that wanted her dead. Her skin caught the kitchen light and shimmered like mother of pearl. Her ears, now visible with her wet hair pushed back, tapered to delicate points. She was beautiful in a way that made Ethan's chest ache. Not because of how she looked, but because of everything she'd survived. You should be sleeping, Ethan said. I cannot. Aria sat down across from him. Looked at the laptop screen. You are researching them. Trying to. Not finding much that's useful. You will not find proof. They are too careful. Too connected. She folded her hands on the table. The facility where they kept us was north of Manchester. Underground. The entrance looked like a warehouse. We never saw daylight except during transports. How many guards? 6 on rotation. Sometimes more when important clients visited. Her voice went flat. Mechanical. Like she was reading a grocery list instead of describing her own imprisonment. We were kept in cells. Brought out only for testing. They called us assets. Numbered us. I was asset 17. Ethan felt rage building behind his ribs. The kind of rage that made his hands shake and his vision narrow. The kind that used to get him in trouble back in his army days when he saw something wrong and couldn't walk away. Aria, look at me. She met his eyes. You're not asset 17. You're Aria. A person. And I'm going to make sure they never get their hands on you again. Understood? Why? The question came out raw. Desperate. You do not know me. I broke into your home. I am not your responsibility. Why risk yourself for someone like me? Someone like you? You mean a scared kid who needs help? Ethan leaned forward. Because that's all I see. And maybe I'm selfish. Maybe I need this as much as you do. But I'm not walking away. So you can either accept that and let me help, or you can keep questioning it and waste time we don't have. Aria stared at him. Then something shifted in her expression. Some wall coming down. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Right then. Ethan checked his watch. 3:30 in the morning. We need to move. If they tracked you here, they'll come at dawn. I've got a mate in Scarborough. Owns a holiday cottage that's empty this time of year. We can lay low there while I figure out next steps. And after? Aria asked. After Scarborough? Ethan closed the laptop. Met her gold eyes across the table. After? We disappear properly. New identities. New life. Whatever it takes. They will never stop looking. Then we'll keep running. He stood. Pack light. We leave in 20 minutes. Aria didn't move. Just sat there looking at him with something like wonder on her face. What now? Ethan asked. No one has ever. She stopped. Started again. No one has ever chosen me before. Kept me. The corporation bought me. Used me. But you are choosing this. Choosing me. Yeah, well. Ethan cleared his throat, suddenly uncomfortable. Someone's got to. Might as well be me. He turned away before she could see his face. Before she could see how much those words cost him. How terrifying it was to care about someone again after Lucy. How certain he was that he'd fail this girl the way he'd failed his wife. But that was tomorrow's fear. Tonight, they had to survive until dawn. The motorway was empty at 4 in the morning. Just Ethan's old Land Rover and the occasional lorry hauling goods toward the coast. Rain hammered the windscreen. The wipers beat a steady rhythm that should have been soothing but wasn't. Ethan kept checking the rearview mirror. Aria sat in the passenger seat wrapped in his spare coat, staring out at the darkness rushing past. She hadn't said a word since they left. Just climbed into the truck with a rucksack containing everything she owned, which was nothing, because Ethan had given her the rucksack and filled it with clothes that didn't fit and toiletries still in their packaging. "You all right?" Ethan asked. "Yes. You're a terrible liar." Aria's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. "I am trying not to be afraid." "How's that working out?" "Poorly." This time Ethan did smile. There was something about this kid. Something sharp and honest underneath all the trauma. Like she'd decided that after 3 years of horror, she was done pretending things were fine when they weren't. "Being afraid isn't a weakness," Ethan said. "It's your brain telling you to pay attention. To be smart. Fear kept me alive in Afghanistan more times than I can count." "You were a soldier. Combat engineer. Cleared IEDs mostly. Spent a lot of time being terrified while trying to look calm. Did it work?" "Enough times." Ethan changed lanes to pass a slow-moving truck. "What about you? What did you do before they took you?" Aria was quiet for so long Ethan thought she wouldn't answer. "I lived with my mother," she said finally. "In a flat in Leeds. Small. Cramped. But it was ours. She worked nights at a hospital. Cleaning. I would wait up for her. We would have breakfast together at midnight, and she would tell me stories about her homeland." "Where was she from?" "Far away. A place I have never seen. She said our people used to live openly among humans. But that was centuries ago. Now we hide. Pretend to be something we are not. We're glamours and lies." Aria touched her pointed ear. "She taught me to be careful. To never show anyone what I could do. But I was 8 and stupid, and I wanted to help her. So when her car broke down, I fixed it. Just touched the engine and knew what was wrong. A neighbor saw. Asked questions. Word spread. Her voice went cold. TechCorps found us 3 weeks later. They came at night. Men in suits with legal papers saying my mother had sold me to pay her debts. It was a lie. All lies. But they had lawyers and money, and we had nothing. They took me. And when my mother tried to stop them, she didn't finish." Ethan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "What happened to her?" "I do not know. They separated us immediately. I never saw her again." Aria looked at him, gold eyes reflecting the dashboard lights. "For 3 years I have wondered if she is dead. If she is looking for me. If she thinks I forgot about her. And I cannot stop hoping she is alive, even though hoping hurts more than anything else." Ethan understood that. The torture of hope. Of not knowing. Of loving someone who might be gone, but might not be, and living in that terrible space between. "We'll find out," he said. "Once you're safe. Once we've got some breathing room. We'll look for her. I promise." Aria nodded. Didn't trust herself to speak. They drove in silence for a while. The rain eased. Dawn started to break over the Yorkshire moors, turning the sky from black to gray to pale gold. Ethan's mobile rang. He glanced at the screen. Tommy. His mate in Scarborough, who owned the cottage. Calling at 4:30 in the morning. That wasn't good. Ethan answered on speaker. "Bit early, mate." "Ethan." Tommy's voice was tight. "Scared. Someone came by the cottage an hour ago. 2 men. Suits. Asking about you. Asking if you'd been in touch. They had a photo." Ethan's blood went cold. "Photo of who?" "A girl. Young. Unusual looking. They said she was dangerous. A runaway from a psychiatric facility. Said they were security consultants hired by her family." "What did you tell them?" "Nothing. Told them I hadn't heard from you in months. But Ethan, they didn't believe me. They're watching the cottage. I saw their car parked down the road when I drove past." Christ. Ethan's mind raced. They'd found his connection to Tommy. Probably pulled his phone records. His service history. Mapped out everyone he knew and everywhere he might run. They'd been ahead of him from the start. "Tommy, listen. You never got this call. If they ask again, you know nothing. Understood?" "What's going on?" "Better you don't know. Take care of yourself." Ethan hung up. Aria stared at him. "They found the cottage." "Yeah. So where do we go?" "Good question." Ethan's list of safe places had just shrunk to 0. Anyone he knew, anywhere he had history, TechCorps would be there. Waiting. He needed somewhere they wouldn't think to look. Then it hit him. "We go to the last place they'd expect," Ethan said. "We go to Lucy's family. To her brother in Newcastle. I haven't spoken to him since the funeral. We barely tolerated each other when Lucy was alive. But that means TechCorps won't have him on their radar. Not yet anyway. And if he turns us away, then we improvise. Ethan took the next exit, heading north instead of east. But right now, he's all we've got. Aria settled back in her seat, closed her eyes. Thank you, she whispered, for not leaving me at a police station, for not deciding I am too much trouble. You're not trouble, Ethan said. You're just a kid who needs help. And I'm just a broken-down mechanic who finally found something worth fixing. She smiled at that, small and tired but real. Outside, the sun climbed higher. The rain stopped, and somewhere behind them, men in suits climbed into cars and continued the hunt. But for now, just for now, they were ahead, and that would have to be enough. Marcus Webb lived in a townhouse in Jesmond that probably cost more than Ethan would earn in a decade. The kind of place with a pristine front garden and a BMW in the drive and neighbors who complained about noise after 9 p.m. Ethan had always hated it. He pulled up to the curb and killed the engine. Sat there for a moment, gathering courage. The last time he'd seen Marcus was at Lucy's funeral. They'd shaken hands stiffly over the casket, and Marcus had said something about staying in touch that both of them knew was a lie. Lucy had loved her older brother despite everything. Despite his judgment and his condescension, and his complete inability to understand why his brilliant sister had married a mechanic from Yorkshire. This is where your wife's family lives? Aria asked, staring at the house. Her brother, yeah. He does not like you. What makes you say that? The way your hands are gripping the steering wheel. Like you are preparing for a fight. Ethan forced himself to relax. Marcus and I have history. But he loved Lucy. And she would have wanted him to help. So that's what we're counting on. They got out. Walked up the path. Ethan rang the bell. A long pause. Then footsteps. The door opened. Marcus looked exactly the same. Tall, lean, wearing an expensive dressing gown over pajamas. His hair was graying at the temples in that distinguished way that made him look like a lawyer in a television drama, which, coincidentally, he was. His eyes went from Ethan to Aria and back again. Ethan. His voice was flat, unsurprised, like he'd been expecting this. It's 5:30 in the morning. I know. I'm sorry. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. Marcus's gaze fixed on Aria, took in her pointed ears, her pearl shimmer skin, her gold eyes. His expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his lawyer's mask. Who's the girl? Someone who needs help. Can we come in? Please. Just for a few hours. Then we'll be gone. You're in trouble. Yes. What kind of trouble? The kind that's better you don't know about. The kind that if you help us, you need to be able to honestly say you had no idea what was going on. Marcus stood there for a long moment. Ethan could see him calculating, weighing risk against responsibility, against whatever lingering loyalty he felt to his dead sister. Then he stepped aside. Kitchen, he said. I'll make tea. They sat around Marcus's expensive kitchen table, while dawn light filtered through spotless windows. Aria held a mug of tea in both hands, warming herself. She hadn't touched it, just held it like a talisman. Marcus leaned against the counter, arms crossed, studying them both. Start talking, he said. Ethan talked. Told him about the break-in, the collar, tech core, the escape. He left out details, the facility location, the other children, anything that could make Marcus complicit. Just enough to explain why they were running. When he finished, Marcus was quiet. That's insane, he said finally. I know. You're telling me a major defense contractor is kidnapping and enslaving children. Yes. And you have no proof. Just Aria. Just what they did to her. Marcus looked at Aria. Really looked at her. At the exhaustion in her young face. The bandages on her feet. The way she held herself, still and careful, like someone expecting violence. How old are you? He asked her. 11. And they kept you for 3 years. Yes, sir. Don't call me sir. I'm not a bloody headmaster. Marcus rubbed his face. Christ. Lucy would have killed me if I turned you away. She always did have a thing for lost causes. I'm not a lost cause, Aria said quietly. I'm just lost. Something in Marcus's expression softened. Yeah, I suppose you are. He straightened. Made a decision. You can stay. But there are rules. You don't leave this house. You don't answer the door. You don't go near the windows. If anyone asks, you were never here. And Ethan, I'm serious about this. You need to figure out a real plan. Because my house isn't a long-term solution. I know. I just need time to think. To figure out next steps. How long? A few days. Maybe a week. Marcus nodded. The guest room's upstairs. Second door on the left. There's a bathroom attached. Aria, I've got a daughter. She's 16 and at university, but she left clothes here. You're welcome to anything that fits. Aria blinked. You would give me your daughter's clothes? She won't miss them. Trust me. The girl has more clothes than sense. Marcus paused. What's your real name? Not the number they gave you. Your actual name. Aria. My mother named me Aria. Well, Aria, welcome to my home. Such as it is. The guest room was nothing like Lucy's old sewing room. It was clean and neutral and anonymous. The kind of space designed for visitors who wouldn't stay long. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed while Aria explored the attached bathroom with something like wonder. There's a bathtub, she called out. A proper bathtub. With jets. Marcus likes his creature comforts. She appeared in the doorway. He is not what I expected. Yeah, he's got his moments. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. Listen, I need to make some calls. Do some research. Figure out how to keep you safe long term. But you should rest. Properly. You're dead on your feet. I do not want to sleep. Why not? Because when I sleep, I dream I am back in that cell. And when I wake up, I expect to see concrete walls and smell disinfectant and hear the other children crying. She wrapped her arms around herself. Here is better. Staying awake is better. Ethan understood that too. The nightmares. The way your brain refused to accept safety even when you'd found it. How about this, he said. I'll stay. Sit right here while you rest. And if you wake up scared, I'll be the first thing you see. Not concrete. Not cells. Just me. Deal? Aria studied him. You would do that? Yeah, I would. She climbed onto the bed, curled up on top of the covers, still wearing his old coat, closed her gold eyes. Ethan? Yeah. I am glad I broke into your garage. Me too, kid. Me too. She fell asleep within minutes. The kind of deep, exhausted sleep that came from running out of adrenaline. Ethan sat in the chair by the window and watched her breathe. Watched the dawn light catch her pearl shimmer skin. Watched a child who had survived hell finally rest. And he made a promise. To himself. To Lucy's memory. To this broken girl who had trusted him with her life. Whatever it took. However long it took. He would keep her safe. 3 days passed in Marcus's house like a held breath. Ethan spent hours on his laptop, researching. Looking for anyone who might help. Any organization that fought corporate corruption. Any lawyer brave enough or stupid enough to take on TechCore. He found nothing. Or rather, he found people who had tried and disappeared. Journalists who stopped reporting. Activists who went silent. A pattern of consequences that made it clear. TechCore didn't just have money. They had reach. Aria healed slowly. The physical wounds anyway. Marcus's daughter's clothes fit reasonably well. Jeans and jumpers that made her look like a normal girl instead of a runaway. She ate proper meals. Slept in a real bed. Started to lose that hunted look. But Ethan caught her sometimes, staring out windows at the street below. Watching for cars that slowed down. For men in suits. For the inevitable moment when their luck ran out. On the 4th morning, Marcus found Ethan in the kitchen at dawn. You look like hell, Marcus said, filling the kettle. Can't sleep. Nightmares? Planning. Ethan closed his laptop. We can't stay here forever. And every day we stay, we put you at risk. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, I've been thinking about that. About what Lucy would do. Lucy would have already figured out how to take down TechCore and adopted 6 more orphans in the process. True. Marcus smiled, but it was sad. She always did see the world as something she could fix if she just tried hard enough. Drove me mad. Me too. In the best way. They sat in comfortable silence. The first they'd ever shared without Lucy there to bridge the gap between them. I've got a cottage, Marcus said finally. In the Lake District. Near Keswick. It's remote. Off the grid mostly. Lucy and I inherited it from our aunt. I never use it. Too far from civilization for my taste. But for you too. You'd let us stay there? More than that. I'd sign it over to you. Put it in a different name. Create a paper trail that leads nowhere. Marcus met his eyes. I'm a corporate lawyer, Ethan. I know how these people think. How they hunt. They're looking for patterns. Connections. But if you disappear completely, if you become someone else entirely, you might have a chance. Why would you do that? Risk your career, your reputation. Because Lucy loved you. And she would have loved that girl upstairs. Marcus's voice went rough. And because I spent 3 years watching my sister die by inches from cancer and couldn't do a damn thing to stop it. But this I can fix. So let me. Ethan didn't trust himself to speak. Just nodded. Right then, Marcus said briskly, back to business. I'll start the paperwork. Give me a week. Then you vanish. New names. New lives. And Ethan? You'll need to be her father. Officially. Adoption papers. Birth certificate showing you're her legal guardian. The works. They'll look for that. For adoption records. Not if they're backdated. Not if they show she's been yours since birth. I've got friends in the right places. People who owe me favors. Marcus poured tea into 2 mugs. It won't be free. And it won't be strictly legal. But it'll be thorough. Her mother might still be alive. Then when this is over, when it's safe, we'll find her. But right now Aria needs protection. And that means becoming your daughter on paper. Marcus handed him a mug. Unless you don't want that responsibility. Ethan thought about it. About what it meant. To become a father to a girl he'd known for less than a week. To promise her forever when his track record with forever was catastrophic. But then he thought about Aria. About her gold eyes and her careful hope. About the way she'd started to smile sometimes when she thought he wasn't looking. Yeah, he said quietly. Yeah, I want that. He told Aria that afternoon. They sat in the guest room while rain hammered the windows. Marcus has a cottage. In the Lake District. He's going to sign it over to us. We can live there. Properly. Not hiding, but carefully. How long? Aria asked. As long as we need to. Years maybe. Until you're grown. Until it's safe. That is a long time to take care of someone else's child. You're not someone else's child. Ethan hesitated. Or you won't be. Marcus is arranging adoption papers. Making you legally mine. So if anyone asks, you've always been my daughter. We'll have documents. History. Everything we need to prove it. Aria stared at him. You would do that? Claim me as yours? If you'll have me. I know I'm not. I'm not father material. I'm broken and angry, and I don't know the first thing about raising a kid. But I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. So if you're willing to take a chance on me, I'm willing to take a chance on us. She was crying, silent tears tracking down her pearl-shimmer cheeks. I would like that, she whispered. Very much. Ethan pulled her into a hug. Awkward and uncertain but real. She clung to him like a lifeline. We'll be all right, he said. Both of us. We'll figure it out as we go. Promise? Promise. 1 week later, they left Newcastle in the early morning darkness. New names. New documents. New lives packed into 2 rucksacks and the back of the Land Rover. Ethan Cross was now Ethan Carter. Mechanic. Widower. Single father. And Aria, asset 17, runaway, lost girl, was now Aria Carter. His daughter. His responsibility. His family. They drove into the Lake District as the sun rose over the mountains. Found the cottage tucked into a valley, surrounded by fells and sheep and silence. It was small. Stone walls. Slate roof. A garden gone wild. But it was theirs. They stood in the doorway together, looking at their new home. It's perfect, Aria said. It's isolated. I said what I said. Ethan smiled. Come on then. Let's get settled. We've got a life to build. They walked inside together. Father and daughter. Not by blood, but by choice. And in that moment, with morning light streaming through dusty windows, they both felt something they hadn't felt in years. Hope. 7 years changed everything. The cottage in the Lake District became a home. Ethan fixed the roof, replanted the garden, turned the old shed into a proper workshop where he repaired motorcycles and farm equipment for the locals who paid cash and asked no questions. Aria grew. Not just taller, though she did that too, shooting up until she stood almost eye level with Ethan, all long limbs and lean grace. But she grew in other ways. Learned to laugh again. To trust. To walk through the world without flinching at every sound. Ethan taught her to ride motorcycles on the empty fell roads. Taught her to cook, though she was terrible at it. Taught her to throw a punch properly after she came home from the village with split knuckles and a story about boys who thought different meant weak. She taught him things too. How to see beauty in broken machines. How to live in the present instead of drowning in the past. How to be a father when he'd never planned to be one. They never talked about TechCore. Never discussed the other children or Aria's mother or the life she'd lost. Some wounds were too deep to probe. Some silences were kinder than words. But sometimes Ethan would wake at night and find her sitting by the window, golden eyes reflecting moonlight, and he'd know she was remembering. Grieving. Carrying ghosts he couldn't banish. Those nights he'd make tea and sit with her until dawn. Not talking, just being present. It was enough. The morning of Aria's 18th birthday, Ethan woke to the smell of burning. He bolted downstairs to find the kitchen full of smoke and Aria standing over the cooker, waving a towel at a pan of something blackened and unrecognizable. "I was making pancakes," she announced. "Those aren't pancakes. Those are charcoal briquettes. They were supposed to be a surprise." "Oh, they're surprising all right." Ethan opened windows, cleared the smoke, looked at her standing there in an oversized jumper and bare feet, covered in flour, trying so hard. "Come on. I'll make breakfast. You've done enough damage." She laughed. The sound filled the kitchen like light. God, when had she become beautiful? Not the kind of beauty that had always been there. The pearl shimmer skin, the delicate pointed ears, the impossible gold eyes. That was just genetics. Just how she was made. No, this was different. This was the way she moved through space now, confident and sure. The way intelligence sharpened her features. The way kindness and strength and survival had carved her into someone extraordinary. Ethan looked away, focused on the eggs. "So," Aria said, hopping up on the counter like she'd done since she was 11. 18. Officially an adult. Officially. Which means I can make my own decisions. Terrifying thought. I've been thinking. She paused. About what I want to do. With my life. Ethan cracked eggs into a pan. Kept his voice casual. "Yeah. I want to go to university. Study engineering. Mechanical systems. Maybe even teach someday." She rushed on before he could respond. "I know it's risky. Leaving here. Being visible. But Ethan, I can't hide forever. And my ability, what I can do with machines, it's not just about fixing things. It's about understanding them. Creating them. And I want to use it. Properly. Not the way TechCore used me. The way I choose." Ethan turned to face her. She met his eyes steadily. Not a child asking permission. An adult stating her intentions. "Where?" he asked. "Edinburgh. There's a program. I already applied. Used my new name, my new documents. They accepted me. Full scholarship based on my entrance exam. When were you planning to tell me?" "Now. Because I need you to tell me it's okay. That you're not disappointed I want to leave." "Disappointed?" Ethan shook his head. "Aria, I'm terrified. But I'm also proud. You've survived things that would have broken most people. And now you want to build something beautiful out of it. How could I be anything but proud?" She smiled. Relieved. "So I can go? You're 18. I can't stop you even if I wanted to." He plated the eggs. "But you're not going alone. We'll find a flat. Something safe. And I'll come up once a month. Check on you. Make sure you're eating something other than takeaway." "You don't have to do that." "I know. I want to." Aria slid off the counter. Crossed the kitchen. Hugged him tight. "Thank you," she whispered against his shoulder. "For everything. For 7 years of safety and home and family. For choosing me." Ethan held her. Felt something shift in his chest. Something dangerous and complicated that he immediately shoved down deep. She was his daughter. The girl he'd raised. Nothing more. Couldn't be anything more. "Always," he said roughly. "I'll always choose you." 3 months later, Ethan helped her move into a tiny flat in Edinburgh's old town. Carried boxes up 4 flights of stairs while Aria directed traffic and unpacked with fierce efficiency. When they finished, the flat looked like her. Books everywhere. A small workbench by the window. Photographs of the lakes on the walls. "You'll be all right?" Ethan asked, standing in the doorway. "I'll be fine. Stop worrying. Can't help it. Comes with the territory." Aria walked over. Stood close. She was taller now, nearly his height. The little girl who'd broken into his garage was gone. In her place stood a woman, strong and smart and achingly brave. "Ethan." Her gold eyes searched his face. "These 7 years, they've been the best of my life. Because of you. You know that, right?" "Yeah, I know. And when I said thank you earlier. For choosing me. I meant it. But also," she hesitated. "Also, I'm glad you were the one I found. Not someone else. Not anyone else. You specifically." Something in her voice. Something in the way she looked at him. Ethan's heart kicked hard against his ribs. "No." He stepped back. Cleared his throat. "I should go. Beat the traffic. But call me when you're settled. And Aria, be careful. Be smart. And for God's sake, don't burn down the flat making pancakes." She laughed, but it sounded forced. I'll try. He left before he could do something stupid, before he could acknowledge what he'd seen in her eyes. Because Aria was 18 and brilliant and beautiful, and he'd raised her. And some lines couldn't be crossed, no matter how much he was starting to want to. 6 months into university, Aria called him at 2 in the morning. Ethan answered on the first ring. What's wrong? Nothing. Everything. I don't know. Her voice was shaky. Not scared exactly, but rattled. Can you come? I know it's late and you're hours away, but I just need. I'm already getting dressed. I'll be there in 3 hours. Are you safe? Yes. I'm in my flat. Door's locked. But Ethan, I saw someone. Outside the engineering building tonight. A man in a suit. He was watching. Taking photos. And he looked at me like he knew. Like he recognized. Breathe. Just breathe. I'm coming. Stay inside. Don't answer the door for anyone but me. Okay. Aria. It's going to be all right. Promise? Promise. He drove through the night like a man possessed. Every speed limit, just a suggestion. The motorway empty and dark and infinite. 3 hours felt like 3 years. He found her curled up on the sofa, wrapped in blankets, laptop open beside her. She'd been researching, looking for news about TechCore, about missing children, about anything that might explain the man in the suit. She looked up when he let himself in with the spare key. Relief flooded her face. You came. Of course I came. Ethan locked the door behind him. Did a sweep of the flat, windows secure, curtains drawn, no signs of entry. Then sat beside her. Tell me everything. She did. The man outside the building. The way he'd stared. The camera. The feeling of being hunted again after 7 years of safety. I could have imagined it, she finished. Could have been paranoid. But Ethan, it felt real. It felt like the beginning of the end. Did he follow you? I don't think so. I took 3 different buses home. Kept checking. But what if I missed something? What if they've been watching this whole time, and I just noticed now? Ethan pulled out his phone. Called Marcus. Woke him up with apologies and questions. Had there been inquiries? Anything unusual? Any sign TechCore was sniffing around? Marcus promised to check. To call his contacts. To see if anyone had been digging into their new identities. When Ethan hung up, Aria was watching him. I should leave, she said. Disappear again. I'm putting you at risk. Putting everyone at risk. You're not going anywhere. Ethan. No. Listen to me. He turned to face her fully. 7 years ago, I made you a promise. That I'd keep you safe. That I wouldn't let them take you. And that promise doesn't have an expiration date. So if TechCore is coming, if this is real, then we deal with it. Together. But you don't run. Not alone. Never alone. Why? The question came out raw. Why do you still care this much? I'm not a child anymore. I'm not your responsibility. You've done enough. More than enough. So why? Because I love you. The words were out before he could stop them, hanging in the air between them like something fragile and dangerous. Not the way I loved Lucy. Not the way a father loves a daughter. Something else. Something I've been trying not to feel for months. But Aria, we can't. She kissed him, sudden and fierce and certain, her hands framing his face, her mouth warm and soft, and tasting like tea and hope. Ethan froze, every instinct screaming at him to stop this, to push her away, to remember she was 18, and he was 38, and he'd raised her, and this was wrong on every level that mattered. But then Aria pulled back, just an inch, her gold eyes bright with tears. I've loved you for 2 years, she whispered. Since I was 16 and realized you weren't just my father or my guardian or my protector. You were Ethan, the man who saved me, the man who stayed, the man I want to spend my life with. And I know it's complicated. I know people won't understand. But I don't care about people. I care about you. Aria. His voice broke. I raised you. I was supposed to keep you safe, not. You did keep me safe. You gave me 7 years to grow up, to become my own person, to choose my own life. And I'm choosing this. Choosing you. If you want me. Of course I want you. That's the problem. I shouldn't. You deserve someone your own age. Someone uncomplicated. Someone who isn't carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. I don't want someone else. I want you. Broken and angry and carrying the world. All of it. Every piece. She took his hand. Pressed it against her heart. Please. Don't push me away because you think it's the right thing to do. Don't make that choice for me. Ethan looked at her. Really looked. At the woman she'd become. strong and certain and brave enough to ask for what she wanted. She wasn't a child. She hadn't been for a while. And he was so tired of pretending he didn't feel this. Didn't want this. Didn't dream about this every time he closed his eyes. If we do this, he said carefully, if we cross this line, there's no going back. Everything changes. Good. I want everything to change. And if people find out, if they judge us, then let them. I've survived worse than judgment. Ethan laughed. It came out shaky. You're terrifying, you know that? I learned from the best. He kissed her then, slow and gentle and full of 7 years of love he hadn't let himself name. She sighed against his mouth, wrapped her arms around his neck, held him like she'd never let go. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. We'll take this slow, he said. Figure it out as we go. Make sure this is real. Make sure it's what we both want. It's real. And I want it. I want you. Even though I'm old and broken and terrible at relationships? Especially because of that. Aria smiled, soft and certain. Besides, I'm excellent at fixing broken things. It's my specialty. Can't argue with that. They stayed like that for a long time, wrapped around each other on the sofa. Not talking, just being. Outside, Edinburgh slept. Somewhere, men in suits might be hunting. Tech Corps might be closing in. The past might be catching up. But in that moment, in that small flat with dawn creeping through the curtains, none of it mattered. They had each other. And that was enough. Marcus called back at dawn with news that turned Ethan's blood to ice. They're looking, Marcus said without preamble. Tech Corps hired a private security firm 3 months ago. They've been systematically tracking down everyone connected to the original escape. Every name, every lead, every loose end. Ethan put the phone on speaker. Aria sat beside him on the sofa, their hands linked. How close are they? Ethan asked. Too close. They found Tommy in Scarborough. Questioned him. He held up, didn't give them anything, but they know you existed. They know someone helped Aria escape. They're working backward from there. Marcus paused. And Ethan? There's more. They've gone public. Sort of. Started a foundation. Reuniting families with missing children. It's a front, but it's brilliant. They're using facial recognition software at universities across the UK. Looking for anyone who matches Aria's profile. Aria's hand tightened in his. The man outside the engineering building. Probably a spotter. They wouldn't grab you publicly. Too much risk. But they're mapping your movements. Your patterns. Waiting for the right moment. Marcus's voice went hard. You need to leave Edinburgh. Today. Now. And go where? Ethan demanded. We've been running for 7 years. Where's left? Somewhere they won't think to look. Somewhere outside the UK. I can get you passports. Real ones, not forgeries. I have contacts in Ireland. You could disappear there. Start over properly. Aria shook her head. No more running. Aria, Marcus started. No. I'm done hiding. Done being afraid. She looked at Ethan. We know where their facility is. North of Manchester. Underground. You told Marcus years ago. And if they're escalating, if they're this desperate to find me, it means they're vulnerable. It means we have leverage. What kind of leverage? Ethan asked, though part of him already knew where this was going. The other children. The ones still there. If we could get them out. Document everything. Get proof. Go public properly. Not through lawyers or journalists who'll disappear, but through every channel at once. Make it too big to suppress. That's suicide, Marcus said flatly. Tech Corps has resources you can't imagine. Private military. Legal teams. Political connections. They also have secrets worth killing to protect, Aria countered. Which means those secrets have power. And I'm done being powerless. Ethan studied her. The set of her jaw. The fire in her gold eyes. She meant it. Every word. 7 years ago, she'd been a terrified child running for her life. Now she was a woman ready to fight back. He should talk her out of this. Should pack her in the Land Rover and drive to Ireland and never look back. Should keep her safe the way he'd promised. But safe wasn't the same as free. And Aria deserved to be free. All right, Ethan said. We do this. But we do it smart. We plan. We prepare. We don't go in blind. Ethan, this is insane, Marcus tried. Yeah, it is. But she's right. We can't run forever. And if there's even a chance we can stop these bastards, save those kids, then we have to try. Ethan squeezed Aria's hand. Besides, I didn't raise a woman who backs down from impossible odds. That's on me. Aria smiled, fierce and bright. So what's the plan? They spent 3 days mapping it out. Ethan used his old army contacts. Found a mate who'd gone private sector, security consulting, who owed him a favor. Got blueprints of every warehouse facility north of Manchester. Cross-referenced them with utility records. Looked for anomalies. Underground power draws. Unusual security installations. Aria used her ability. Hacked into TechCore's network remotely through vulnerabilities in their IoT devices. It took her 16 hours of continuous work, barely stopping to eat or sleep, but she found it. The facility. Hidden beneath a distribution center outside Bolton. 60 feet underground. Shielded. Isolated. Perfect. Marcus, despite his objections, used his legal connections to prepare insurance. Documents ready to go to every major news outlet simultaneously. Journalists he trusted with encrypted files. Lawyers prepared to file lawsuits the moment they had evidence. If you do this, Marcus said on the third night, video call from his office in Newcastle, you get one shot. They'll bury you if you fail. Make you disappear. So whatever you do, you document everything. Video. Photos. Physical evidence. You get those children out, and you get them on camera, and you flood the internet before TechCore can stop you. We will, Aria promised. And Aria, if this goes wrong, if it looks like they're going to catch you, you run. You understand? Don't be a hero. Just run. I'm done running. Then be smart about when you fight. Marcus looked at Ethan. Keep her safe. Please. Always. The night before they left, Aria and Ethan stood on Arthur's Seat overlooking Edinburgh. The city sprawled below them, lights twinkling in the darkness. Wind whipped around them, cold and sharp. Last chance to back out, Ethan said. We could still run. Ireland. Europe. Somewhere they'll never find us. Is that what you want? I want you safe. Everything else is negotiable. Aria turned to face him. The moonlight caught her pearl-shimmer skin, made her look ethereal. Otherworldly. Beautiful in a way that still made his chest ache. I've been safe for 7 years, she said. And I'm grateful. But Ethan, there are children in that facility, right now living the nightmare I escaped. And I can't just walk away knowing I could have helped them. Could have stopped it. Even if it means risking everything we've built. Especially then. Because everything we've built, this life, this love, this family, it's only precious because we chose it. We fought for it. And I want those children to have that same choice. Ethan pulled her close. Kissed the top of her head. You're going to be brilliant. You know that? We're going to be brilliant. Together. Together, he agreed. They stood there for a long moment. 2 people against the world. 2 people with everything to lose and everything to fight for. Then they walked back down the hill, hand in hand. Tomorrow, they would drive to Manchester. Tomorrow, they would break into TechCore's facility. Tomorrow, they would either save those children or die trying. But tonight they were just Ethan and Aria. 2 people who had found each other in the darkness and built something worth fighting for. And that would have to be enough. The distribution center looked exactly like what it was supposed to be. Ordinary. Concrete walls. Loading docks. Delivery trucks coming and going. Nothing remarkable. Except for the power consumption. The security cameras that watched angles no normal warehouse needed. The guards who wore earpieces and carried themselves like military. Ethan and Aria waited in the Land Rover until midnight. Watched the shift change. Counted guards. Memorized patterns. 6 visible, Ethan murmured. Probably more inside. The entrance is on the east side. Service elevator disguised as a utility access. Aria checked her laptop. I can loop their camera feeds. Give us a 10-minute window. 10 minutes isn't long. Then we'll have to be fast. She looked at him. Ready? Ethan checked the camera strapped to his chest. The backup recording device in his pocket. The phone set to livestream to Marcus's secure server. Ready. They moved. Aria's ability made breaking in almost easy. She touched the electronic lock and felt its mechanisms. Understood its logic. Rewrote its permissions with just a thought. The door clicked open. They descended into darkness. The elevator hummed. Dropped 60 feet into the earth. The doors opened onto hell. Concrete corridors. Fluorescent lights. And cells. Dozens of cells. Each one containing a child. Some were Aria's age when she'd escaped. 8, 9, 10. Others were teenagers. All of them had that same haunted look. That same careful stillness of prey trying not to be noticed. Aria's hands shook. There are so many. Then we get them all. Ethan activated the camera. Started recording. Every single one. They moved quickly. Aria unlocked cells with touches. Whispered reassurances. Children emerged cautiously. Some cried. Some clung to her. Some just stared with hollow eyes. A girl with scales instead of skin. A boy with eyes that glowed in the dark. Twins who moved in perfect synchronization. Children who were different. Special. Hunted. Ethan counted. 23. 23 children trapped underground. They were halfway to the elevator when the alarm started. Guards poured into the corridor. 6 of them. Armed. Professional. Ethan stepped in front of the children. Spread his arms. You're not taking them. The lead guard, tall, scarred, ex-military by the look of him, raised his weapon. Stand down. Those are corporate assets. You're trespassing. These are children. And I'm taking them home. Can't let you do that. The guard's finger moved toward the trigger. Then every light in the facility went out. Emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in red. And in that crimson glow, Aria stood with her hand against the wall. Eyes blazing gold. Power crackling around her like lightning. I can feel every circuit in this building, she said quietly. Every lock. Every camera. Every weapon. She tilted her head. Including the guns you're holding. Would you like to see what happens when I convince them to malfunction? The guard's weapon sparked. Died. Clattered to the ground. Impossible, the lead guard breathed. Not impossible. Just different. Aria stepped forward. Like all these children you've been torturing. We're not weapons. We're not assets. We're people. And we're leaving. You can either let us go, or I can shut down every system in this building and leave you trapped down here in the dark. Your choice. The guard looked at her. At Ethan. At 23 children staring at him with hope and fear. He stepped aside. They emerged into the night like a resurrection. 23 children who'd been buried alive, blinking in the moonlight. Free. Ethan had called Marcus from the elevator. Gave him the signal. Within minutes, the live stream went live. Videos uploaded to every platform simultaneously. News outlets pinged with encrypted files. Lawyers filed lawsuits in 4 countries at once. By dawn, TechCore stock was in freefall. Executives were fleeing. Government officials were calling for investigations. By the end of the week, the company would collapse. But that night, Ethan and Aria just drove. A convoy of vehicles borrowed, stolen, and gifted by Marcus's contacts. 23 children heading to safe houses. To families who'd take them in. To therapists and doctors and people who would help them heal. They dropped off the last child, a girl with wings folded against her back, in Glasgow as the sun rose. Then they just sat in the Land Rover. Exhausted. Alive. Victorious. We did it, Aria whispered. You did it. That thing with the weapons. I've been practicing. Learning. I'm stronger now than I was. She looked at him. Strong enough to fight back. Strong enough to win. 3 months later, they stood in a small flat in Leeds. The address had taken weeks to track down. Marcus's investigators. Aria's hacking. Old records and new leads. The door opened. A woman stood there. Older than Aria remembered. Grayer. Thinner. But alive. Mama? The woman's eyes went wide. Filled with tears. Aria? My Aria? They fell into each other's arms. 7 years of grief and hope and love pouring out in broken words and sobbing laughter. Ethan stepped back. Gave them space. Watched Aria find the piece of herself she'd thought was lost forever. Later, hours later, after the tears and the stories and the promises to never be separated again, Aria's mother pulled Ethan aside. You saved her, she said simply. She saved herself. I just gave her somewhere safe to land. No, you gave her more than that. You gave her love. Family. Hope. She squeezed his hand. Thank you. For everything. That evening, Ethan and Aria walked along the River Aire. The same city where she'd been taken. But different now. Reclaimed. What happens now? Aria asked. Whatever you want. You've got your mother back. Your freedom. Your whole life ahead of you. And you. Me. Ethan smiled. I'll be wherever you are. If you'll have me. Aria stopped walking. Turned to face him. The setting sun caught her pearl shimmer skin. Turned her gold eyes molten. Ethan Carter. You saved me when I was a terrified child. You raised me when I had nowhere to go. You loved me when I thought I was unlovable. And you fought beside me to save others the way you saved me. She took his hands. So yes, I'll have you. Today. Tomorrow. For as long as you'll stay. That's going to be a very long time. Good. He kissed her. Soft and certain. A promise and a beginning and everything they'd fought for wrapped into one moment. Around them, leads carried on. People living ordinary lives. Unaware that two extraordinary people had just won their freedom. Had just chosen their future. Had just proven that love, real love, the kind built on sacrifice and trust and choosing each other every single day, could survive anything. Even the darkest night. Even the worst odds. Even the end of the world. They walked home together. Ethan and Aria. Not broken anymore. Not running anymore. Just living. Just loving. Just free.